Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, and welcome back to Call of Duty Infinite Warfare on Veteran difficulty. And in this video we're going to be tackling another one of the side missions in the game, which is called Phoenix, Operation Phoenix. And in my opinion, this is actually going to be the least fun of all of the side missions, at least the ship assault one. So if you're new to the side missions, they're basically split up into two categories. There is the ship assault and there's the jackal assault. So the ship assault is we are actually going to physically board an enemy ship. The jackal assault is when we are in our jackal fighter fighter jets, and we're like flying around in a space battle shooting down other enemy aircraft. So for the ship assault ones, this one is actually my least favorite one, and that's because it combines the two things that I hated most about this game: zero-G gunfights, and then at the end we actually do have a jackal spaceship fight. The beginning here started off kind of cool because we're like floating through this little asteroid field, and we're doing it in a very stealthy manner. So there's a couple enemies. This is what I mean by the zero-G gunfights. So this is when we are out in space here and we have to actually do gunfights against enemy soldiers. So it starts off pretty fun because there's just some enemies out here working, and we get to take them out without them ever knowing what hit them. But then what's going to happen is you see that ship off in the distance. Eventually we're going to land on that ship, and we have to make our way to the kind of like the ship, what's it called, like the ship hangar where all of the new model of the fighter jets are being stored. So we have to get onto the big gunship and steal a smaller jet fighter. And when we do end up landing on that enemy ship, that's when things become not as fun, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of explosions, there's a lot of gunfire flying around, there's not a lot of cover, and there's also a lot of enemy soldiers that we have to kill in zero-G combat. And if you've played this game, you know why zero-G combat's not fun. It's because the controls get really sensitive. It's hard to pop out of cover to shoot an enemy, and because of how just vast this map is, because obviously we're in space, there's just so much around us, it can be really hard to spot where the enemies are. And so luckily, as you see here, the game does highlight the enemies in these like orange square reticles. And so that helps slightly, but in the heat of like a really big firefight, it doesn't help a whole lot, and especially when you don't have a lot of cover, and also when you're playing on Veteran, that doesn't really help things either. But at least in this first part here, we can do everything in a somewhat stealthy approach. So these guys here are all just doing some maintenance to the outside of the ship. I think there's 4 of them in total. Salt should shoot 1 or 2 of them. So you just have to shoot either 2 or 3 of them, depending on how many she shoots. And then what's going to happen is you're going to be prompted by an objective. I wasted a little time here because I was trying to figure out what to do. But basically you can see that there's a blue arrow at the top of my screen that I failed to recognize. And so when you're done wasting all the time that I'm wasting here, you can simply just look straight up and find your next objective. And that's also kind of a note on these side missions, you know, on their own, is they're not actually that difficult. So when I play the game on the hardest difficulty for any game, I always play the game first on regular just to get a feel for the game, and usually it's just for my own enjoyment and nothing YouTube related. And then I go through again on the hardest difficulty to make my walkthrough. But you can see here, like, that's a perfect example showing you that I actually didn't play the side missions on regular first try. I actually played all of these side missions on Veteran on my first go through, and there wasn't a single one where I thought, wow, this is really hard, I need to play it on regular first so I can figure out what to do. All of them are actually really simple. They are a lot of fun. You know, just because they're simple doesn't mean they're not fun, but that's just something you can note. And I gotta be careful here because a lot of times in this walkthrough I've been referring to the game as to my walkthrough as a hardest difficulty walkthrough. Unfortunately, in reality, this walkthrough is not a hardest difficulty walkthrough. I thought, because it's been the same for years now, that the hardest difficulty on a game of Call of Duty has always been veteran. That's just like a staple. That's always been the case. But now this game, trying to be very innovative and whatnot, apparently they came out with a new difficulty mode called Specialist, and I didn't know about this difficulty until a couple days after the game had already come out, and by then I had already started posting videos for my veteran walkthrough, so I kind of figured, well, I don't want to just quit the veteran walkthrough, so I might as well finish what I started, and then later on, if I have time and if not enough people have done it on YouTube already, then maybe I'll go back and make a Specialist walkthrough. So you're going to see the video cut right here, and that's just, as you're going through this gunfight here, you are going to get numerous checkpoints, and at that area, that is where you get one of them. So I always try to cut the videos at the checkpoints when I die, so that you know I'm not skipping over any gameplay or cheating or anything like that. And so yeah, right there you saw the video cut, and that's because I died, but I did unlock a checkpoint, and so what you're seeing is still the entire game played legitimately and everything like that. But yeah, so apparently there's no achievement for beating the game on Specialist that I know of, so when this game was a couple days from coming out, just to kind of prepare myself for it and make sure that Veteran was in fact the hardest difficulty, I looked up the achievement list for the game, and when I saw that the highest difficulty related achievement was for beating the game on Veteran, that was another little indicator that, oh, okay, Veteran is going to be the hardest difficulty. So kind of sucked. I wasn't prepared for a Specialist mode, but it is what it is. And so I found that in this game, Veteran actually was not very difficult at all, so I'm wondering if Specialist is just going to be insane, or if it's going to be somewhat similar to this. Yeah, I'm kind of curious, so I might end up going through it and playing it. I still don't know if I'm going to do that just for fun or if I'm going to do it for YouTube or not. If I do it for YouTube, I'm probably not going to add commentary because I just don't have it in me to do a whole nother batch of commentary for this game. Once again, you saw the video cut right there. That's because this is another area where you can unlock a checkpoint based on how many guys you killed, and I did unlock that checkpoint, but then unfortunately I died again, and so I had to find a seamless area to try to cut that death out of the video. But yeah, so I am kind of curious, because I remember, like, the best example that I can think of is last year when they remastered the Uncharted games, which is actually my favorite franchise of video games. They released a new difficulty called Brutal Mode. And so prior to the remasters, I had already played all of the games on PS3 on Crushing difficulty, which was the previously most difficult difficulty in the game. And so I played them all through on Crushing because you had to do that in order to unlock Brutal. And it was really easy. Like, it legitimately was not challenging for me at all because I've just played those games so many times, so that when I started my Brutal playthrough, I really underestimated it. I thought, wow, you know, I breezed through Crushing. Brutal's probably not going to be any threat at all, and I have never been more wrong about about a game in my life. Brutal was one of the toughest difficulties I've ever come across in a game, and it probably ranks as either number 2 or 3 as the hardest game I've ever completed on a specific difficulty. And so I kind of get the feeling that's what Specialist is going to be. Like, Veteran was difficult, but it wasn't that hard. But perhaps Specialist is going to be just something else entirely different. So the last part of the gunfight here is you're going to finally make your way to the hangar here where the new ship is being held. Kind of hang back and peek around this corner, and you're going to see a couple enemies that are doing their work in here. So take them out with a couple of shots. I think there's only 2 you have to worry about. Nothing really much to worry about. So take them out as quickly as you can, and then as soon as they're dead, you're able to make your way into the hangar here, and you can approach your objective, which is stealing one of these new enemy ship models. And when we do steal this, we're going to have to fly it back to the Retribution. Unfortunately, This is where the second least favorite thing in the game comes into play, which is a jackal fight in space. And so with as soon as you gain control of this new ship, on our way back to the Retribution, you are going to have to take out a few enemy fighters. But it's nothing, ultimately it's nothing different from what we've already done in the game and in other side missions. You just got to fly around, and the enemies will be targeted by those little red and yellow diamonds, and so you just got to fly around, target them, and take them out. And as soon as you finish that, you're going to be done with this side mission, and one step closer to getting that achievement for beating every level on Veteran. Yeah, on a side note, so like I said, nothing here that you haven't already done. On an interesting side note, I ended up finishing this game yesterday, and I noticed that every time I beat one of these side missions, I got an achievement, and that was completely expected. I knew there was achievements for the side missions, but something weird that I've never had before was when the achievement popped, I got this like diamond, and it made a different noise than usual, and it said that it was a rare achievement. And first off, I didn't understand why it was a rare achievement, because the achievement wasn't even just for beating the game or beating like the mission on Veteran. It was just for flat out beating the mission. And so I didn't understand why that achievement was considered rare. But nevertheless, I really liked that concept of certain achievements having different rarity values. That's actually why I kind of prefer the PlayStation trophy system over the Xbox achievement system. One, because in my opinion, even though it's the same exact thing, getting a platinum trophy on PlayStation is so much more satisfying than just getting all the achievements on a game for Xbox. But also, I like it because obviously the trophy system in PlayStation, you get silver trophies, bronze trophies, and gold trophies. And I just really like that because it not only awards you for doing the same thing as achievements, but it also kind of classifies them as easy ones, medium ones, and hard ones. And when you look up like a certain player's PlayStation profile, you can see not only how much, like with Xbox, you only see how many gamer score they have, but with PlayStation, you actually get a list of how many silver trophies they have, how many bronze, how many gold, and stuff like that. So it becomes kind of cooler because you can meet a player that has like 600 trophies, but maybe all of them are silver trophies from a simple list of games. But then you might come across another player who maybe he only has 300 trophies, but more than half of them are gold, and that kind of speaks to a different level of what type of gamer that is, versus just seeing like a flat-out gamer score. So I don't know, I'm kind of ranting on that here. But eventually, once you clear the sky of the aces, you'll be able to land on the Retribution here, and then you'll be officially done with this side mission. So that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if it helped you out, feel free to like and subscribe to show your support. Leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of the video in general, of the mission, of the game, anything you want. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.